Hello everyone, welcome to my studio, MJ Hobby Corner here, and today I have a video that's not too long. I want to show you guys where I am in the cavern project, and this is something that Julie, Steve, and myself have been thinking about for a time now, and we were thinking about having games set underground in caverns. So think Underdark from Dungeons and Dragons, or some of the old Warhammer Fantasy stuff. We're talking goblins, dark elves, lizard men, you know, anything that could potentially like live underground. And we were thinking of skirmish battles, and then maybe towards the end do like a mass battle underground. And I'm using a lot of the novels from the Thousand Orcs. There were 3 novels based on that, and that's from the Drizzt series, and I just love the way that writer described the Underdark. So I'm using a lot of his descriptions and sort of imagining the cave areas that we want, right? So this is cave terrain that's going to be very different to what I've done before, and I want to have platforms and ledges and you know, rocky bridges that cross each other so that models can go up, down, and around, and probably not very big tables at first, just very small, say kill team size tables. What's that, maybe 4x4 or something, or maybe even a little less, 3x3 table size. So really not too big. We want to have like some skirmishes and some objectives and things. We're thinking about using one-page rules. I think those are the best rules for this kind of homebrew stuff. One-page rules, Age of Fantasy. I think that's what we're going to use for the rules, and then we'll just add, if we need to add little house rules here and there for the Underdark theme, then that's what we'll do. But I'll be scouting around, looking at other rules and seeing what's best. Right now, I think those are the rules we're going to use. So why don't I go show you, let's go check out the first rock formation and how I did it. Okay guys, so we're outside my studio, and this is very important because before I do anything, I need to say this in the video. If you're going to try this technique to make your rocks or whatever it is, cave terrain, alien terrain, whatever it is you want to do, make sure, because we're melting plastic, make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area. Wear a mask if you have to. Do not, I say it again, do not breathe in the fumes if at all possible, because you just don't know how that could harm you. So I wanted to say that before I started doing anything. So this is the rock formation, and as you guessed it, this is all melted plastic bags. And to make the ledges, I use a piece of cardboard, wrap it around one of my plastic bags. Okay, just wrap it around, nothing fancy, just wrap it around, and I want the ledge to be like around here. So we're going to take the heat gun and melt all that together, and I'll describe why later, but it's mostly to give miniatures a place to stand on. So let's get the heat gun and get it going. Okay, so I muted and sped up the video a little bit. This way you don't hear the sound of the heat gun. So now I'm melting the plastic to make the ledge. Okay, and I use a dowel to hold the plastic as I'm melting it. And I use the gun on low and then high setting for the plastic that's going in between the ledge. And I like to bunch up the plastic bag in order to make rounder rocks. And if I want flatter rocks, I just flatten the plastic and put the setting on low to the heat gun, and it just melts the plastic nice and smoothly and makes a sort of a flatter kind of shape. So here I'm using the dowel again and squeezing in, you know, the plastic, make sure it melts in there nicely. And it's really cool because it just wraps itself around on its own and kind of just, you know, sticks to itself. So it's cool. Using the dowel as a rolling pin too to smoothen up some areas so you can see that it helps me to shape the rock. And there you saw how I bunched up the plastic bag and used it to fill in a space there. So many thanks to Black Magic Crafts for the inspiration to use this material. I will be adding my own technique and everything else to it, but the idea came from Black Magic Crafts. So thank you very much for posting that. Okay, so here is my plastic contraption, and this is all just plastic bags. It took about 16 bags to make this. 16, a little over, maybe closer to 20, but I stopped counting at 16, and then I added a few more. So yeah, so now what I do is I go back and start to fill some areas with sand. Okay, so back in the studio, and I added some sand. Okay, and then very important is stalagmites and stalactites. So basically, to give it a bit of a cave feel, that's what really separates this kind of rock work from any outdoor rock work, are these stalagmites and stalactites. So I put one set of them on around the ledges, and these are ledges that figures can go up. So I'm going to add like a little bit more here so figure can go up, you know. There will be connecting bridges as well, a bridge from one rock to the other rock. And I'll show how I make that all out of plastic. So I have to say, this is not my idea. I don't want to take credit for this idea. The paper bags, that is, making the rocks out of paper bags, is not necessarily my idea. It's an idea that I saw in YouTube, and I'll try and get that source and put it in the description. However, I add my own techniques and my own flair to it. So there is some of my own kind of ideas, like for example using the tin foil and everything for the rocks. So we're going to give this a quick spray paint job so we can see it with spray paint, and then I have to do a few more things to it before it's finished. Okay, and then I add a little bit of, well, not a little bit, but I spray it with some texture paint, and that's the gray stone paint. Okay, and then look at all that complexity in there, like all the different nooks and crannies. I could put the heads of critters coming out of there, right? Maybe a giant centipede or something. Maybe some bats hanging in between the stalactites there, stalagmites. I know I'm getting that wrong, but there it is. So it just needs a dry brush. I still give it a nice dry brush to tone down some of the texture paint once it's all dried up. And I mean, for alien rock, or for, say, if you are doing like a hive nest or something, I mean, it's a really good technique. And it's very heavy. It's heavy terrain. You'll be surprised with all those plastic bags melted in there. You'll be surprised how heavy it is. And the ledges do have cardboard, as you saw earlier. I wrapped the plastic around the cardboard and just melted in. But it's pretty heavy. And I like how the tin foil adds to it. Okay, so now I got to work on the base and then finish painting it, because it has to be painted now after this. Just give it a good dry brush of a lighter color, like a beige or something, or a gray, you know. But it does need a dry brush, and tone down some of the texture paint once it dries up. All right, so this project is not yet finished. This is going to be a slow project because I have to make a few of these. All right, folks, so that was the idea. Now, my cave system is going to be very alien looking. It's going to be, as you guys saw, with that one piece. And next, we're going to talk about columns, because I want to have like columns of rock and then platforms and bridges connecting each of these pieces. And of course, there has to be ledges and things like that. So any terrain that is made for the caves has to include places where models can stand. That's really the biggest thing. So, well, I'll keep working on this project. It's going to be a very slow project. I think I'll just slowly work on it, bring different kinds of terrain ideas little by little. Okay, so this today was the first piece. And again, this wasn't my idea. The idea of using the plastic bags, and if people are interested, I'll show how I did it. But the idea comes from somewhere else, and I'll have the source as soon as I can. I'll put it in the description so people can refer to that as well. The only thing is I'm adding my own kind of flair and technique to that technique, right? So, but that's very important to mention. All right, folks, so we'll talk very soon, and see you guys next video.